Grimer Outbreak, Mission 3. Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Ranger. This Tyler received a text message. From Spencer to Kyle. I've heard the latest from Joel. You might be intimidated by being in an unfamiliar city, but I'm sure you'll acquit yourself fine. Both Joel and I are too busy with the Go Rock Squad investigation to do anything else. What's important for you is not to worry about the Go Rock Squad. You need to take on missions and gain experience. That's why I also want you to go out on the Grimer mission. Make me proud. It's nice to see he has faith in us. I feel like a lot of other games that take this general genre, people like that usually immediately write you off because you're so new. This stink is downright awful. I've been holding my breath. You're Kyle, right? I'm the ranger they sent down here to recover the Grimer you capture. Glad to be... This stench is getting to me. This stench is even worse the farther you're going, so I'm sorry, but I'm gonna wait out here. Every time you capture a Grimer, I'll come running to recover it, and he'll dash right back out. Oh, I can't take it, I'm holding my breath! Good luck with that, buddy. Thankfully, I don't have a nose, so I can't smell. For now, though, it's time for our first new Pokemon. This is a Totodile. Despite its very open mouth, its main attack isn't actively biting. Its main attack is to spit water blobs out, and it can do it a couple times in a row, even. In fact, that's even its browser entry. But it's another water Poke Assist, so I like having it around. What I don't like having around is Grimer. Grimers are annoying. Their main attack is to split a blob of poison that goes a bit of an arc, and I think the moment it touches the ground, it leaves a puddle. But you might be noticing, while it walks, it leaves another puddle behind. If you touch that, you also take damage, so you need to make some really wide loops in order to successfully capture these safely. Grimer hurls blobs of sludge. Also beware the sludge trail it leaves behind. One down, several to go. When you capture a Grimer, the sludge goes away, it looks like. I'll take the Grimer, so keep at it, and oh, the stench is overpowering, I'm not gonna inhale. The Grimer themselves and their ability set, and a certain Pokemon that does a very similar thing at the end of the area, are actively what walled me the most early on as a kid. Because I didn't do a lot of captures outside of ones I had to growing up, because I just didn't do a lot of random battles in other games to begin with. So having a very low line length means I couldn't really have wide loops around the Grimer, which sucked. Also, this is Corphish. It's a faster Krabby at the end of the day. It does move pretty erratically, which can be a little annoying, but as long as you have a long enough line length, you don't need to worry about that too much because you can just make wider loops. Corphish blows bubbles from its mouth. It stops moving, then scurries about. I do think its Poke Assist is even like the same time limit as the Krabby, so if you have a choice between the two, it doesn't really matter. Oh, small mercies, you're here at last. The Waterworks supplies drinking water to the city, so we've tried to maintain its purity at the highest level. What went wrong? Why would the Grimer suddenly appear? They've never been here before. I'm sure there's gotta be some reason. With that said, now they're gonna start throwing Grimers at us in multitudes, and because this is a repeat battle that's required, we're just gonna speed it up. Unless you're trying to do a speed run, I do recommend taking your loops slowly with Pokemon like this. Good job on another capture, but how do you stand this stench? I'll relieve you, the Grimer. I can't take this, I won't breathe anymore. And then he died on the way to taking these Grimer to a safe place. Rest in peace, random NPC that doesn't even have a name besides Ranger title. But now time for something very important, a Drowsy. There's only a couple of these in this area, and you're gonna want them around for typing reasons. Their main attack is to send a psychic wave out that actively grows in size the further it goes on. So be careful which way direction they're aiming when they do that, otherwise you might be in danger. But the reason you want them is the Psychic Poke Assist. Drowsy loses psychic power from its hands to disrupt your capture attempts. The Psychic Poke Assist is a type that completely immobilizes Pokemon. It lifts them up in the air and they won't move for a little bit. That is going to be key for not only Grimers around here, but the boss at the end of the area. The Rotten Raticate. They keep gnawing on the metal fence. I can see one of them scurrying around on the other side of the water. Hey, get lost, you little vermin. Oops, sorry, I'm yelling at that critter, not you. Well, you might have noticed while we were exploring earlier before the last Grimer fight, there was even a metal fence that we saw, so we're gonna need to get that Raticate. For now, though, we're gonna come down here and worry about catching a Coughing. This is mostly just for the browser. Coughing are kind of annoying in that every time you loop around them, their sprite gets slightly larger. I don't think they can attack while they're doing that. Their main attack is to actively just spew mist out and circle around them, as well as slightly obscure your vision. But if you have a smaller line length, capturing these guys as they move can be a bit of a nightmare. We did just gain access to the Poison Poke Assist, and notably, it works basically the same way that the Grass one does. As you draw the capture line, poison will be emitted from it. If a Pokemon touches that, they'll be immobilized for a certain amount of time, depending on both the strength of the Pokemon in question, I believe, but also the group of the Pokemon in question. With that said, because Poison from memory is only super effective in this generation to Grass, it's not the most useful. There's several Poke Assists I don't think I use in like the entire LP. Which is kind of a shame, but oh well. Coughing sprays Poison Mist to attack. It puffs up if a loop is drawn around it. Neat. Also, I should note, the green slime on the floor we're on right now and the one above us, that's not just an aesthetic thing. While you're on that, your control is actually made slippery. It's mostly noticeable whenever you're trying to turn. If you're just moving forward, it's not too noticeable, but be careful all the same, because the way this entire area works is that there are little holes that you can fall into that lead you back down that ladder we just came up from. So it's meant to be an annoyance that you can get knocked down from, because if a coughing spews out its poison on the field and you get hit by that, you're being knocked back a little bit. Thankfully, at least here in Ranger 1, if something like that happens, you don't actively take damage. I think one of the later games changes that up a little bit, but it's been a while since I played either of them. For now, it's time for a Raticate. Raticate isn't too much to worry about. The big thing is it moves mostly in diagonals and short spurts. But whenever it touches your capture line, it's guaranteed to attack, which is a very close range chomping attack that surprisingly does some high damage for this point in the game. So be careful of them if they're in groups. Not that there's going to be many opportunities where that can happen, but it's worth noting all the same. But now that we have this, we can go back to that metal fence we saw and break it. Raticate chomps with its sharp fangs. These fangs can rip apart a metal fence. Thank you, because it's a cut level of 2. Neat. So I should note something. During the fight where we captured the first coughing, you may have noticed I used mine as Poke Assist, and things were a little different with it. It spewed out 4 channels of electricity instead of 3 towards the 4 corners that then rotated a little bit. The way the partner gauge upgrades work in this game is for every subsequent one you add to the use of the Poke Assist, it literally gets stronger. You get more waves of electricity for the first few levels, and then they get larger for the last few. It's useful, but it does present a problem with using Minin, where if you want Minin or Plusle to be super effective, you actively either need to save them for very specific points, making them not very useful in the random encounters, or go out of your way to fight just a random Pokemon battle if you know a boss fight's coming up, and then just do extra loops around them over and over again to get the charge up. And I think they could have maybe fixed this problem a little bit by maybe adding an option with Minin and Plusle, where whenever you select their Poke Assist, you could choose to use a level 1 charge, a level 2 charge, so on and so forth. So in the case you have the maxed out partner gauge down the line, you can either do up to 5 level 1 charges, 2 level 2s in a level 1, a level 3 and a level 2, something like that. In fact, when and if one of these games ever gets a remake, which I doubt because the last Ranger game was well over a decade ago at this point, I think. It'd be nice to see them do something like that to make Minin and Plusle a little more toolkitty. For now though, time for our next Pokemon. This is Crocodile. Like Totodile, doesn't attack using its bite. It instead spews a giant water droplet out that will impact the ground and then spread out into a puddle. The puddle can still actively damage your capture line, so be careful. Crocodile attacks with globs of water, beware of the puddles on the ground too. I just said that, browser, thank you. With that said, it is a stronger water-type Pokemon, so its water Poke Assist lasts longer, so we're gonna have one of them around. By now, you might be noticing something about this game's Pokemon layout, though, but we'll talk more about that after we take care of these Grimer using said Crocodile. That's what, 5 down, however many to go? Good job. Do you maybe like this aroma? Oh, it's making me nauseous. But I'll do my job and take what you capture. Don't expect me to breathe. I'm more impressed you're still alive if you're not breathing for this long. So think back throughout this part, the past several, and what we've seen thus far for the Pokemon within the Fiore region. You might notice a certain trend when it comes to them, because despite this game being a DS game, this is not a Generation 4 Pokemon game. This was, I think, the last Generation 3 game released in the West. Second to last period, I think, overall. There was like one more in Japan. Kyle, what are you doing here? You're capturing the mass outbreak of Grimer. Sounds like the perfect job for a rookie. My mission's to investigate the Go-Rock squad. We got word that one of their members is lurking down here. But anyways, it smells beastly here. I can't be wasting any of my time on my top priority mission, so I'll be on my way. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I want to say from memory, this game in both the West and Japan came out about half a year prior to Diamond and Pearl. And I want to say like about a month after Mystery Dungeon on the whole. Both of those spin-offs came out within a pretty short span. It's not a bad thing, though. I actively didn't notice it until I had someone point it out to me. Because the game on the whole does a good job of having good representation throughout its browser for Generation 1, 2, and 3 Pokemon, because not all the Pokemon are present. From memory, there is still a little more than Gen 1 than the other two gens, but that's because Gen 1 had a larger Pokedex than the other two inherently from memory. That's a waterworks wall. Beware of weakened concrete walls, they're susceptible to crumbling. You don't need to interact with that or even do anything with that for main story, but I'm gonna go out of my way to do that for reasons. For now, though, more Grimer using the power of the Psychic Poke Assist. God, I love it against poison types. It completely nullifies the Grimer's attacks and it also makes them easy to capture. Sometimes rangers work out of the public sight. This is horrible. I can't talk. Talking makes me breathe. I think these without a word. But that was like 30 words right there, dude. I mean, come on. Be consistent when you're gonna say stuff like that. We're relatively close to the end of the area, though. Oh, what is it, Kyle? Did you want to cross over to this side? It won't be any fun if I just tell you, so I'll give you 2 hints. I'm only saying this once, so listen. There's a post here, and there's a Tangela somewhere. You can figure out the rest for yourself. I have to be going now. Bye! But first, Crocodile. So the Tangela she's talking about is right up here. Tangela themselves are very easy to capture. They only take 2 loops, and their main attack is to send a little vine out, usually in a straight line from them, and they usually start by throwing it downwards. But their main ability is the cross field move. Tangela can extend its vine and lasso a post to cross a gap. It's essentially a grappling hook over short ranges. As long as the post is on screen and so is the Tangela, you can go over to it. And we're going to need to use this several times throughout the game, not only for main story, but especially for browser completion. And obviously you want to go across that one that she was next to. But there's another post somewhere we can use the Tangela on to get another Pokemon really quick, to do a little bit of a side thing that you don't really need to do now, but I want to. There are also notable a couple of things you can do over here, but we actively can't do at least one of them until after the main story. So remember this place for down the line. I might be jump cutting here eventually. For now, though, we got another new Pokemon over here. It's time for good old Squirtle. I don't remember what his attack is, because frankly, I captured them pretty quickly. Squirtle puffs its cheeks and then shoots water that can extinguish a small fire. Well, there we go. That's probably its attack. The Squirtle's not the reason I came over here, though. Showing off this scrap metal is, it needs a fire remove of 2. But also, I want to catch this Meditite. Meditite itself, relatively slow moving. I think it has an attack that can be a forward punch of some sort, or maybe it's a psychic ability. But I want it for its field move. Meditite slaps things with its tiny hands. It can break through weakened walls. And we've seen a weakened wall pretty recently now, haven't we? I should note, by the way, I do recommend if you're playing along to actively fight a lot of the Pokemon and catch them, even if you don't use them and release them immediately. Because the experience yield they give will ultimately build up to help you down the line. A lot of the boss fights in the game are made a lot easier with that extra line length, or especially the extra health. Compared to mainline Pokemon even, where you can probably survive just doing the trainer battles, you really want to do the random battles in this one, because otherwise you're probably not going to make it. Also, no matter what, I recommend before you go to the end of the area, you have a Drowsy in your party. So the one I still have, I'm holding on until we leave the sewers. Or at least until I use it on screen, and you'll see that then. But now we can use the Meditite, crack that wall, and enter it for a little hidden area containing 2 new Pokemon. We've got a Magneton and an Oddish. The Magneton's main attack is to send a giant lightning bolt diagonally that does not actively end until it leaves the screen, which means if you're capturing multiple Pokemon and they're around, try to avoid them. The Oddish's main attack is to send a single leaf forward, similarly to certain other grass-type Pokemon we've seen. The main reason you want to come in here, though, is for the Magneton, especially if you don't have a Drowsy in your party, because Magneton's notable in that its Field Move and Poke Assist are a level 2 Styler Recharge, which at this point might as well be a full health restore, so it's handy to have around. I think this might be the highest level I've ever been by the end of this area. Maybe I've been 1 level higher, it's been a while. Admittedly, this playthrough of Ranger is the first time I've probably touched this game since maybe 2010 at the latest. Magneton generates electricity using its magnetism to recharge your Styler, and the leaves on Oddish's head are sharp enough to cut down trees. Not that you'd ever really have an opportunity to use that because the Oddish line in general is kind of rare in the game. And if anything, you only catch them for browser completion more than actively using their ability, given how you have to find the other 2 variants of their line. For now, let's head back over here, grab ourselves this Tangela, and head back over here. Notably, and I even showed this off, I technically didn't need to go all the way back to that other post to find the Meditite, because if memory serves, and I want to say I showed this off, there is another one to the north here on top of the little platform where that Tangela is. And you can actually jump down that ledge to reach that Tangela again if you want to for some reason. I went out of my way more for the extra experience. Also, the water currents here, they do push you backwards, but they're not really strong enough to be worried about. If anything, it just kind of lengthens the area. I made fun of this place for being a sewer level, and it is. But it's not a very threatening sewer level on the whole. I might have bad memories of it, but that's mostly admittedly due to the Grimer themselves and the boss we're going to be fighting towards the end of the video. For now, though, you may have noticed there was another metal fence there, and over here, there's another Raticate. So, let's go put that to the test. This is, again, optional, it's only for browser completion, but I might as well get it done now so I can mark this area off as mostly done by the time we leave here. I remember as a kid, I found the field move implementation a little clunky, where you had to actively drag from the Pokemon to the object in question, and I wish that you could just investigate it with, like, the A button, and if you had a matching Pokemon, have them use their ability then. And I want to say maybe one of the sequels might have that implemented, but the sequels also do better about having dungeon design be more than just using field moves on certain obstacles. For now, though, time for a new Pokemon. This is Crawdont, the evolution of Corphish. It hurts, because while you can access this fight now, you're really not meant to until later on. Its main attack is that whenever it sees your capture disc or capture line, I forget which, it actively hones in on it and then uses the exact same bite attack, essentially, with its claws that Raticate uses. And that can cut through your health pretty quickly. Crawdont attacks with its big pincers. They have sharp cutting edges. With that said, it is notable that it's a level 3 cut-type Pokemon, which are far and few between in the game, so if you need that field move for something, especially post-main story, it's recommendable to get this one. The game does do a good job at peppering save points throughout the game progress, by the way, within the same area even. So in the case you're feeling like you're running low on HP or needing a save point, usually there's probably going to be one within a couple of rooms. On top of that, backtracking a couple of rooms doesn't usually take that long. Great job, that should have been the last of the Gram you needed to capture. You should return to the Ranger Base and report to Joel. Huh? What the? There's even worse stench coming from over there. It's making my nose go weird. And you might be noticing he's actively walking forward on the path instead of backwards this time, because it's a shorter path to get back to the entrance by going that way. If you went north from the starting fork, we'd actually end up near this area. Whoa, muck! It wasn't just the Grimer, there's even a muck going amok. I'll get word to your leader. I recommend going back to save if you haven't, because it's time for the first real boss fight in the game on the whole. Rhydon is technically just a normal Pokemon. And well, honestly, this might be the only time we fight a Muck in the game. From Joel to Kyle. I've just heard that Muck has appeared in the waterworks in addition to the Grimer. I understand that it isn't rampaging, but there is danger of it contaminating the water supply. I'm adding the capture of Muck to your mission. I mean, I was going to anyway, but sure. So Muck works like a Grimer, only it's larger. It has the same projectile attack, and the puddles it leaves behind due to its size are huge. To make this fight any kind of bearable on top of the Grimers it has with it, bring in at least one Drowsy so you can just loop around them all in a row and not have to worry about the high loop count you need in order to actually capture the Muck. This boss I was stuck on for so long as a kid, but beating it like that, satisfying. And hey, it gives you enough experience if you capture them all in one loop to get an extra level usually. The sewer area, though, is done. And now we're on to better parts of the game. Muck heads right for the capture disc. It hurls big globs of sludge. Oh yeah, that's also a thing. It actively will charge at you, meaning if you don't have something to stun it like the Psychic Poke Assist, you're in for a bad time. This guy's thing has got to be 10 times worse than any Grimus. I mean, it's overpowering. I can't smell anything anymore. Look, see, watch me breathe deeply. Oh. Okay, I'll hold this last lot away. Good job. I still don't envy that man's nose. It's been through shit today. And that's mission 3 completed. Sounds like the situation in the waterworks has been settled. What about me? I didn't spot any Gorok squad members, and my clothes smell horrible now. There's no reason for me to stay here even another moment, so I'll be on my way. I wouldn't dawdle if I were you. You should report to the ranger base right away. Alright. You know, I'm kind of surprised she couldn't see him from there, but look, peripheral vision's a thing and she wasn't focused on it. Ugh, that Grimer reek. Never mind, it's nothing. You restored clean drinking water to the citizens of Fall City by yourself. You restored the city's lifeblood. Those captures you made would have challenged veteran rangers. You've outdone yourself again. I'm hereby certifying you as Ranger Rank 4, Kyle. You might be noticing that you get a Ranger rank at the end of every main mission. Yeah, that's just how these work. Kyle was promoted to Ranger Rank 4, and this allows us to now use Bug Poke Assists, which I don't really like. And Ground Poke Assists, which is more of the same, really. Kyle, now that you are a Rank 4 Ranger, there's something I should tell you. You are permitted to add one more friend Pokemon to your party when you reach ranks 4, 7, and 10. Actually, all Stylers have the capacity to allow up to 7 friend Pokemon in your party. However, novices can't make full use of party Pokemon if there are too many. That's why we cap the Styler. Allow me to remove the first cap on your Styler's party capacity. Kyle, you are now authorized to be accompanied by up to 5 friend Pokemon in addition to your partner. Which is the much more important upgrade for this rank. Because now that's an extra recharge you could have or an extra good Poke Assist. From Spencer to Joel and Kyle. I've got unconfirmed reports that the Gorok squad has resumed activities in Summerland. Kyle, if you're not on an active mission, head for Summerland. This isn't a mission. I want you to gather intelligence on the Gorok squad with your own eyes and ears. Now even Summerland's threatened by the Gorok squad. I would like you to go there immediately, but there's a major problem. For some unknown reason, the ferry to Summerland hasn't been running. If you took the Dragonite bus, you would be in Summerland instantly, but you can't use it at your Ranger rank. Now what to do? Oh, that's right. How about asking the Lapras guy who's always in the harbor? If you explain your situation, he may be willing to let you ride the Lapras. He's quite a reasonable and generous person. It's worth a try. Alright, but with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 6, we're going to be venturing off towards the next region of Fiore. See you guys then.